All right, I'm going to demonstrate one more exercise. This is a fun one, a very wicked, mean one, but in the court code, and this principle applies to any interpreting, we obviously have the canon, the rule, the principle, do not omit, add, or alter anything, right? And this is the main mistake. Basically, that's the only way that you can misinterpret something. You can skew it, you can alter it, omit or add, right? And most people do this unwittingly, subconsciously, without realizing it. So there's a really interesting philosophical principle that you can use in running, in interpreting in life. Whatever you're doing, do it consciously. So in this exercise, I'm actually going to misinterpret on purpose. And don't do this in life. Don't try it at home, or actually do try it at home, not in a real job. But I'm going to ask my friend to give me a sentence. First, I will interpret it correctly. Then I will omit, then I will add, then I will alter, and then I will interpret it correctly. So let's invite our friend Leo. Again, he's getting to be a star here in our interpreting series. And I'm just going to ask Leo to give me one simple sentence in Russian.
Окей. Меня всегда поражает, я никогда не могу понять, почему все разговоры идут о нашей футбольной команде «Викинг» и почему они проигрывают.
I'm always astounded by the fact that people just keep talking about the Vikings, our football team, but the Vikings just keep on losing. Okay, so that was a more or less correct interpretation. Now I'm going to omit. I just don't understand why people keep talking about the sports team, but they're always just losing anyway. So I omitted the Vikings and the fact that they're a football team. I'm always surprised by the fact that people just keep on gossiping and slandering the Vikings, but the Vikings keep on losing. I added an aspect that they're not just talking about it, but gossiping and slandering. He did not say that. That could actually technically be an alteration. So let me just do an addition. I'm always surprised by the fact that people keep on talking about the Minnesota Vikings, which has been with Minnesota for 30 years now, and the Vikings just keep on losing. So the 30 years was an alteration. And now I'm just going to give a correct translation again. So I'm surprised why people keep on talking about the Vikings all the time, but the Vikings keep on losing. Here I omitted actually football, but most Americans would know that Vikings are football, but technically I omitted it. So the drill again is correct, and then subtract or omit, add, alter, correct. Let's do another sentence.
Вот, Владимир, объясни мне, почему у нас в Миннесоте самая Миссисипи река, самая большая, самая длинная в мире, а рыбой мы так и не славимся, мы не можем эту рыбу, у нас не так она популярна.
Vladimir, could you explain to me, please, why it is that we have the longest, the biggest river in the world, the Mississippi River, and yet somehow we're not famed necessarily for the fish or for the catch? Okay, let's do an incorrect translation. I'm going to add something. Vladimir, can you explain to me, please, why we have the biggest river in the world? It's bigger than the Nile, it's bigger than the Missouri and the Volga River, the Mississippi, and yet we're not famed for any kind of fish, be it sturgeon or bass or whatever. I added a bunch of stuff here, right? So now I'm going to omit something. Can you tell me, Vladimir, why in Minnesota we're famed for the biggest river in the world, and yet our fish and our catch is just not as famous? I missed the Mississippi. So now I will alter something and try to make it really stupid. Tell me, Vladimir, why in the state of California we're famed for the biggest river in the world, the Nile, and yet our hunting is no good. And this makes no sense, but that was an alteration. And then back to the original correct translation. Why is it that the Mississippi River in Minnesota is the biggest and the longest in the world, and yet our catch is not necessarily as famous? So one point that I was not necessarily going to say, and Leo is probably going to punch me after this, correcting the speaker, when to correct or not correct the speaker. The Mississippi is not the longest river in the world. Should I correct the speaker or shouldn't I? I believe it's the Nile, actually. In this case, if it is not a court interpretation, I would probably add one of the biggest rivers, one of the longest rivers in the world. I think it's in the top 4. So yes, I would say in the majority of scenarios and contexts, it's okay if you're sure to correct the speaker, but don't make him look worse than they are. So that's the end of the exercise. Thanks to Leo. See you in the next clip.